An HLN exclusive. A deal for Cosby from attorney Gloria Allred.
If he is so confident of his arguments that he didn't do any of this, then he could invite these women to have it decided in the civil court.
An alleged victim who reveals what she says he did to her is here.
My life ended the day I met Bill Cosby.
Let's get started. Good evening from New York City, CNN Center. Of course, my co-host is Samantha Shocker, and we will have our exclusive Cosby, well, the exclusive about Bill Cosby with Gloria Allred, right?
Yes.
Another woman who accuses Bill Cosby of rape.
I believe that Mr. Cosby drugged me and sexually assaulted me that night. For years, I did not tell anyone about what he had done to me because I was afraid. I felt threatened by him. I did not think anyone would believe me. My life ended the day I met Bill Cosby.
I'm back with Sam, Karama, Wendy. This is our most tweeted story of the day. That, of course, Bill Cosby Accuser Beth Ferrier. She joined two other women in an emotional press conference with attorney Gloria Allred. Beth and Gloria are with us now. And Beth, you first. I just want to point out we've been having some little video problems with you, but I look forward to interviewing you. We'll hear you perfectly nonetheless. And you say, Beth, your life, quote, life ended the day you met Bill Cosby. What did you mean by that?
Absolutely. It was a violent crime that I suffered. I have suffered in silence since 2006. I have suffered in silence since meeting Mr. Cosby because he profiled me and took such great interest in me that after my father's death from cancer and whatnot, I could not actually get away from him. And when you have been molested, drugged, especially with someone who you have been so incredibly close to, you've shared your entire life with, for months, years. You have to understand, I was on the set with him. I was there when he interviewed Raven Simone. I was there with Lisa Bonet. I was there, I had a relationship with Jeff Brown, the producer of his show, who committed suicide. I was there with Felicia Richard. I know the whole set. I know the whole scam. I know the whole deal. And I was the one who came forward to National Enquirer because of this piece, the National Enquirer piece, my story in 2005 was squelched. And you're seeing that now in court documents. My name is mentioned over and over. There was a gag order. I want it known that I am not going to be filled with shame anymore. It stops here. Camille and Bill Cosby, immediately now. It stops. This is serious. You need to listen to me, Beth Ferrier, and Gloria Allred.
And
you
Beth,
have to. You have
Beth,
to.
I'm sorry to interrupt you, but,
Yes,
you're
sir.
expressing a feeling, an emotion that we've heard from many of the women who have come forward. I want you to have a chance to respond to your critics who say that you claim you were in a consensual relationship and yet he drugged you and had to rape you. What do you mean by consensual, and how did you make sense of what he did to you?
Well, actually, great question again. How that works is how he works. He takes you on. I met him in New York as a model who came from Colorado. I was living in Chicago at the time. But I was actually selected by Joe Farrell, who was my agent, much like, let's make a connection here, Barbie Bowman. Same thing. I was allowed to go and stay in the model's apartment with Denise, my booker, and another male model who came from LA. We were there to actually support Colorado, to have people come to Colorado to see that we were a great place where great talent were to come. And part of that was, I didn't go to New York to meet Bill Cosby. A part of that was possibly getting to meet Mr. Cosby and maybe going on the set. You have to understand, I already had my own career with modeling full-time. That was a part of that, but I never planned on that. Consensual meaning that I met him on the set, was in his home, with my booker, and that she actually got drugged, Denise actually got drugged, and at that time, so that he could be alone with me in his home. And that particular person...
I'm going to interrupt you again. I'm sorry to push you like this, but time is obviously a crunch, and I want to give Gloria a chance. Gloria, I want to give you a chance to answer those questions as well, what you hope to accomplish in court. And I just heard another allegation that I've not heard, that somebody else was drugged in the crossfire. Is that going to come up in court?
Well, first of all, we don't know if there is going to be court. That is in the hands of Bill Cosby. We offered him 2 alternatives to move this along. The first is, it's very upsetting, of course, to many of the alleged victims that they cannot have their day in court because the statute of limitations, if it's asserted as a defense by Bill Cosby, would mean that their case would be dismissed. So we challenged him to invite all of the alleged victims to sue him and to say that he will not assert the statute of limitations as a defense, and therefore the case can proceed in court, and he can present his arguments about why he should not be liable, and all the alleged victims can present their evidence about what they allege occurred did in fact occur. So Gloria, we have not heard from him on that.
So you're saying if indeed this didn't happen, have your day in court, we will happily meet you there. His attorney released a statement that reads in part, quote, "These claims about alleged decades-old events are becoming increasingly ridiculous, and it is completely illogical that so many people would have said nothing, done nothing, and made no reports to law enforcement, asserted civil claim." Gloria, I'm going to stop with that and let you respond to it after the break. And panel, I'm sorry I haven't had a chance for you guys to ring in either. Hopefully we'll all get a chance to respond to this after the break.
Beth Ferrier claims she was drugged and assaulted by Cosby in the mid-'80s.
When I arrived backstage, Mr. Cosby greeted me and had me a cappuccino, telling me that he made me my favorite coffee. And after I drank it, I felt dizzy and lost consciousness. The next thing I knew, hours had passed. I woke up in the back of my car alone. My clothes were a mess. My bra was undone.
Sam, Karama, Wendy, and whom you just heard there, the Cosby accuser, Beth Ferrier, and her attorney, Gloria Allred. Gloria, I want to give you a chance to respond to his attorney. And by the way, I've got to remind people that we heard another allegation from Beth about somebody else having been drugged. We can't confirm that independently in any way. We're not specifically addressing that this evening. Gloria, his attorney calls everything ridiculous.
Well, I think the place for this is in a court of law. And if he has such confidence in his arguments that he did not do anything, then that's a place where he should be, and let the alleged victim sue him and let a judge and jury decide. But if he's not open to public scrutiny in a court of law, then we offer the other alternative, which is a confidential arbitration. Let retired judges in their offices hear the proof that the alleged victims would like to present, and hear the arguments against their proof by Bill Cosby, and let the retired judges make a final decision. These would be neutral individuals who would have experience and could judge, and then give a compensation to the victims if they find that there is merit to their claims, and if they can provide proof of damages. That's the way to have a process. Let these victims have a day in court. Let's find out if Bill Cosby is a saint or a sexual predator. And that is the way to determine this, not just in the court of opinion, but really in a court of law.
And Wendy, it's not unusual for people to be fearful of speaking out, especially when somebody has so much power, and especially when women feel tainted and responsible for what happened to them.
Absolutely. And Dr. Drew, I've got a question for Gloria Allred. You know, this trial, or not even trial, this case reminds me a lot of the famous trial in Canada that took place during the O.J. Simpson trial. That trial of the century had a member of parliament, an older statesman. 35 women came forward saying they'd been sexually molested by him years and years before. Not one of them proved. He did not go to jail. He was not convicted on anything. Gloria, do you think they'd have a hard time ever convicting him? And is there a statute of limitations, though, on child sexual assault? Weren't some of these victims under the age of 18?
Great question, and the answer is that there are different statutes of limitations in different states. and sometimes different statutes of limitations, longer periods, if there is an adult survivor of child sexual abuse. So that's why it's important to consult an attorney and find out what is the time period during which you can sue civilly and during which a criminal prosecution can be brought. Chief Beck in Los Angeles invited any member of the public who believes they have been the victim of a crime in the city of Los Angeles and believes they may have been a victim of Bill Cosby to come in and report it to the police, even if they think that it's beyond the time period, the statute of limitations, for that crime to be prosecuted. So I took a young woman in there last week. Others may proceed to go in there in the future. Let's find out if this can be prosecuted or if they can sue, and then we can find both justice and accountability if the case can proceed.
Karamo, same question. Not unusual for people to feel ashamed and wait a long time before they speak out.
Not at all. You know, I'm in the business of supporting survivors. And one of the things is I've been reading tweets while this has been happening, and I just want to encourage the viewers at home to get into a place where they are respecting and having empathy for these victims and these survivors. Because it's pretty ridiculous that these women were groomed by this man, and all of a sudden you are blaming the victim. This is irresponsible, and I want to tell people at home, think about if this was your daughter, if this was your mother, would you have the same reaction? Gloria said it best. We cannot have this in a court of opinion. We need to get someone in there, have a biased judge that's going to be able to give these victims their day in court.
Yeah.
Beth, we're generating tears. I'm down to a minute left. What's going on?
Absolutely. No, please. I just have to tell you, thank you, Gloria Allred. Thank you, and thank you for all of you who are giving us what we need. We did not lie, and I am asking, please, I know that Gloria Allred is here for me, and I'm going to ask that she meets with Dolores, the attorney for Andrea Constance. There was a gag order that stopped me finding out anything for 9 years about my National Enquirer story that is listed in the court documents that were just released. Thank you, CNN. And that's 9 years of me holding for 9 years and People magazine and my story to help Andrea, all 13